Hey guys, my name is Cody P. Christian, and welcome to the LearnCodeIgniter.com first training series on the introduction to CodeIgniter. Let me first slightly introduce myself so you know who it is that you are listening to through this series of tutorials. Well, my name is Cody P. Christian, and I am with a web development multimedia firm called CBC Studios at www.cbcstudios.com. We work on a variety of different projects, and I myself have been a developer for many years, and I have used CI as my framework of choice for the last 4 years. And I've been saying for the past couple years that I would release a series because I have to say there are not many good series on training for CI out there on the web today. So I'm bringing this series to you guys. So with that said, let's get started. In this training series, in the first few episodes, you will be learning the basics of CI. So if you are already using CI, you may want to skip the first few episodes. If you are unsure about the basics, then this is where you would start. First thing we are going to walk you through in this video, which will be less instructional. Our next video will actually physically show you how to do more things. This is more of a walkthrough rather, to kind of explain to you what CI is, what it can do for you, and the general basics, installation, and setup of CI. So with that said, so what is CI? Well, CI is a PHP framework to help people build web applications. Its goal is to enable you, the developer, to build projects much faster than you could if you were writing code from scratch, by providing a rich set of libraries for commonly needed tasks, as well as a simple interface and logical structure to access these libraries. CI lets you creatively focus on your project by minimizing the amount of code needed for a given task. Model View Controller. What is MVC? CI is based on the Model View Controller development pattern. MVC for short is a software application that separates application logic from presentation. In practice, it permits your web pages to contain minimal scripting, since the presentation is separate from the PHP scripting logic. By separating your logic code and template code from each other, overall makes the structure of your application clean and well structured. What is a model? Well, a model is a PHP class that are designed to work with information in your database. For example, let's say you use CI to manage a blog. You might have a model class that contains functions to insert, update, and retrieve your blog data. What is a view? A view is simply a web page or a page fragment like a header, footer, sidebar, etc. In fact, views can flexibly be embedded within other views, etc., etc. Views are never called directly. They must be loaded by a controller. Remember that in an MVC framework, the controller acts as the traffic cop, so it is responsible for fetching a particular view. What is a controller? Well, controllers are the heart of your application. They determine how HTTP requests should be handled. A controller is simply a class file that is named in a way that can be associated with a URI. I would also like to mention that there's another little piece that we will get onto later called routes. Routes is actually what is used to actually take in that request and pass it to a given controller or sub-function of a controller. More on that later. CI application flow. This graphic that I'm showing you here is the basic flow of a standard CI application. It all starts with the index.php. When you visit this in your browser, the data that is passed to the index.php first goes through your routes, then it passes through a security layer into your application controller. The application controller then talks back and forth with models, libraries, helpers, plugins, and custom scripts, and goes out and does whatever it needs to do, and returns that data to what's called a view. From then, it can either go right back to the browser, or it can go through a caching method, and then to the browser. This is the overall flow and routing. Also, if you have caching enabled, you can go from the index to routing, right back to caching, and right back to the index. And typically, the whole point of that would be is if you have caching enabled, well, you'd rather pull from your local cache of data instead of hitting the server and going through the routing and everything again, and through your controllers and so on, when you can just run right to the cache and right back and get the data a lot faster. There are pros and cons to using caching. More on this later. Installation. What you need to do first is visit CodeIgniter.com and download the latest copy. Once you have this on your computer, whether you're on Windows or Mac, extract the zip file and upload the contents to your server. Once you have these files on your server, we can proceed with explaining to you the file structure and configuring the setup. If you are slightly confused on installation, please leave us a comment below or write to us and let us know, and we will be sure to try to help you out. CI file structure. This is the basic structure of a CI application. By default, you will be presented with an index.php, a license.txt, a system directory, and a user guide directory. This is by personal preference, but in our case, we always move the application directory located within the system directory to the main directory where index.php and so on is at. This is just a matter of personal preference. You can put the application folder anywhere within those directories. 99% of the time, you will never need to touch anything in the system folder. Everything is located in your application folder. Thus, that is why we move it out of our system folder. You do not need to reconfigure anything if you do move this directory. It will automatically find itself. In the application folder, you have a config directory, controllers, errors, helpers, and so on. The main directories you're going to be concerned with at first will be the config directory, controllers, and views. Later on, when we get to working with libraries and models, and more so writing your own, they will be placed in those directories respectively. Rarely will you ever need to touch anything in the hooks, helpers, and language folders. Now let's proceed with basic configuration of CI. You'll find these files in the application config directory, and the files we're going to be concerned with right now is config.php. You will not need to be concerned with the other files such as autoload and database. We will touch on those later on when we get to implementing and working with the database. As of right now, your application in its present state is working. No configuration really needs to be done to the base config. When we start working with the database and so on, I will show you how to set up and enable what's called mod rewrite to give you those nice pretty application URLs, as well as various other settings such as database settings, sessions, and so on. But not to confuse you right now, we'll worry about that in our next video. Well guys, that's it. Thanks for watching the first video. I'm so glad that you guys decided to sit through our video. I really hope to see you guys next for our next video, where it'll be more in depth and very step by step, where we can really explain to you the basics of CI and get you kick-started. By the time this series is done, you'll be a master of CI and you'll be creating some really great applications. And please make sure you head over to learn-codeigniter.com. Check out more of our tutorials and articles. We will try to be posting these up as quickly as possible, so please check that out as you can. And we hope you enjoyed the video. Please take care, and we'll see you in the next video.